Hey y'all, and welcome back for episode 2 of Behind the Scenes Worship Podcast. Thank you guys so much for joining me again. Behind the Scenes Worship Podcast is where I just take a look at my worship sets. I do a blind reaction to my worship sets and just kind of give you guys background on why I chose what I chose, what is happening in my life in that moment, what's happening in that set, why did I call what I called, just giving you guys a behind the scenes look at what worship is, or just giving you guys a behind the scenes look at me leading worship and what's happening there. So yeah, I love worship. I love to worship the Lord. I love to study about worship and read about worship. I am actually getting my master's right now from Liberty University online with my degree is called Worship Leadership. And so working on that slowly but surely. It was supposed to be a 2-year program, but 2 years is looking real 5-ish because I got kids. Okay. But it's okay. Just gonna keep trucking along and we gonna get there. We are going to get there. But I've been leading worship since I was about 14 years old, and I've just had many different worship experiences, singing, in my hometown, in the community, growing up singing with full gospel, and then I went to ORU, or Roberts University, and sang with Souls of Fire, leading worship, and now I've been the worship leader at my church for the last 3 years, since 2020. And so, yeah, here we are. And I just, like I said, I love worship. And my goal is to honor the Lord as much as I can through worship. And that's part of the reason why I'm even doing this podcast, is because I felt like this was an idea of the Lord and from the Lord to do this. And my goal is just to be obedient to the Lord. And obedience is worship. How do I know that? In the Bible, I think it's Genesis 22, and maybe 20. I know it's in the 20 somewhere. But, and that's one thing you're going to find out about me, is like, I know a Bible story and I know a verse. I may not know exactly where it is, and I'm going to probably paraphrase it. But I know the story, and I know the scripture. Anyways, so it was Abraham, right, when he was going up the mountain to sacrifice Isaac, and he said, me and the lad are going to worship. That was the very first time that the word worship is found in the Bible. And if you go back and read that story, nothing in that story is about a song. Nothing in that story is about an instrument. Nothing in that story is about singers. But he says we're going to worship. So that says to me that worship is about obedience. Worship is about sacrifice. Worship is saying, Lord, you are worth whatever it is, whatever this is. Isaac was Abraham's promise. Like he had prayed for it, and the Lord has said, you are going to make a great nation. So how am I going to make a great nation when my seed, you want me to sacrifice him? But Abraham trusted him with, that seed and with that gift. He trusted him with his word. You know what I'm saying? Like, that word came from the Lord. Abraham didn't just make that up. That word came from the Lord, and Abraham trusted the Lord enough to say, whatever you say, you are worth it. You are worth my son. You are worth this. You are worth the promise being fulfilled. You are worth it. And he chose to be obedient in that moment. And so worship is more than a song. Worship is more than leading a song, and more than singing, and more than instruments. Worship is more than just, going to a church on Sunday morning with a microphone in your hand. Worship is about obedience, and it doesn't just happen on Sunday morning. Worship is a continuous thing. Obedience, acts of obedience, that's a daily thing that we walk in. That's not just something that you do on a Sunday morning. Obedience and worship happens all throughout the week and all throughout your day. So, yeah. So there's that little nugget. But anyways, so to circle back, this podcast is a part of my worship to the Lord, because this is an act of obedience to him. I don't have the fancy background. I don't have the fancy cameras, the fancy lights. Um, but I told the Lord that whatever I had, I would give it to him and use it to the best of my ability. It's like the parable of the talents, you know. He gave 5, he gave 2, he gave 1. 5 and 2, they took what the master gave them and they multiplied it. They were good stewards over what the Lord had given them, or over what the master had given them in the story, right? And the person that had 1, he just buried it and just gave it back. Like, well, I mean, this is what I got. I didn't multiply, I didn't do anything with it. And, you know, and the master was upset with him. He was upset with, but those who were good stewards over what the master had given them, he multiplied what they had. The 5 became 10, the 2 became 4. And so that's where I am right now. I'm just like, Lord, you know, I give you this phone, I give you this little ring light, I give you these headphones, I give you this microphone, I give you this background that I use for my makeup videos. You know, I give you exactly what I have, and I give you my obedience, and I'm going to steward as best as I can what you have given me and what you have allowed for me to have, because at some point I am going to be able to do more. At some point, I'm going to be able to have, you know, an actual really nice fancy camera. I'm going to have really nice lighting. I'm going to have a really nice studio one day. But until then, I am going to be a good steward over what the Lord has given me and use it to the best of my ability to be obedient unto him. So there's that. All right, so let's get into the behind the scenes video today. So looking at this video is from 3 years ago. It's just me and Kara is the alto that sings on our worship team at my church, and she's also a worship leader at our church too, because she started leading out and everything. Super excited and proud of her. But with just us two being here, I believe this was probably, okay, yeah, and then the caption says, join us live for prayer. So during the pandemic, like I said, it's 3 years ago, so this was during the pandemic, and during the pandemic, we would have like prayer, and on Wednesday nights, instead of Bible teaching, it would just be like an hour of prayer or so, or maybe 30 minutes of prayer. But anyways, me and Kara were the ones who would do the music before prayer happened. So that's exactly what this looks like. This is, but let's listen to it and let's see what we got going on here. That made me emotional. Whew. Okay, let me get myself together. Whew. Okay. Um, like I said, this was 3 years ago, and it's at the height of the pandemic, and I had just become worship leader January of 2020, and so everything got shut down March of 2020, and so I'm pretty sure this was around March, April. No, it had to be around April sometime. Um, and it was just me and Kara. It was just me and Kara, and the band, of course. But it was hard. It was so hard. Because it was just us two trying to trying to carry vocally, and it was hard. It was a heavy weight to carry, you know, every Wednesday. We had prayer every Wednesday, and it was just a very heavy weight to carry. My daughter was also around maybe 6 7 months, so I was still dealing with postpartum. Then the pandemic hits, and everything is shut down, and not knowing where COVID was, but still having to run a home and still having to go out, and do ministry. Um, and it was just a really heavy time. But I'm so grateful for Kara because she helped to carry that weight during that time, and I'm just so grateful for her. And I have texted her before and let her know, like, hey, I appreciated you so much for being there. And she's like that even now. Now that the church has, gone back to some semblance of normalcy, Kara is one of the most faithful people, that we have. And of course, there's more people, not just her, but there's more people. But during that time, just Kara's presence there just meant just meant so much, and it helped so much. Um, One, I forgot about that song too. I totally forgot about that song. But it's such a good song, and once again, that is and that song is a take on the hymn love lifted me when nothing else could help. Love lifted me. And so it's a new spin, a new arrangement, a new take on an old classic. So if you're looking for any songs like that, this would be a great song that you could use. Um, Once you go out of love lifted me, love lifted me, love lifted me when nothing else could help. Love lifted me, oh, love lifted me. And just hop back and forth, in and out of both songs, and that would be a great way to introduce, this song to your congregation if you wanted to. There are more parts to this song, but we, definitely simplified that song and cut it down to where it would make sense for number one, just an opening, for just an opening segment, and it would make sense for two people, to sing it. And so don't be afraid to, if there's, these big songs, but you don't have the people to do it, or you don't have that much time. Don't be afraid to just kind of take out some parts of the song. You don't have to do the song exactly how it's recorded, but just take out the parts of the song that make sense for your context and what you need for it to do and for it to be. I'm trying to think what else. Once I know that I was probably terrified again. I know I was probably terrified to to be recording that and to be on camera, because scared that I'll mess up, and it's live streaming, and during that time everything was on live stream. I'm serious. It's like you would open up YouTube, or you would open up Facebook, and every post was another live stream, and it was just like everybody was live streaming. And some services weren't good. Let's just be honest. Some of them services wasn't good. Some of that worship was very questionable. Okay. And I was like, Lord, please don't let me be one of the questionables on this here internet, Lord. Please don't let me be questionable on here. So worried about that, but I thought that we did well. And I thought that, we did our job. We sung the song. We didn't do anything extra. We didn't do too much. We just sang the song, and, and just, we did our best, and that's all, we could do. Yeah, man, it was just us two. I remember that. It was just us two, and we made it. We made it. Man, we made it. Oh, thank you, Jesus. We made it. So, I think that's all I want to say about this service. Yeah, I don't think there's anything else I want to add to that. So I guess that is the end of episode 2. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you guys so much for supporting and coming back for behind the scenes. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. My goal is to get a new behind the scenes worship podcast episode uploaded on Wednesdays. I can't say every Wednesday, because there may be a Wednesday or two that I miss. But the goal is to get episodes uploaded every Wednesday, because Wednesdays are Worship Wednesdays on my channel, which is Safe Space with Soraya. So please make sure that you go ahead and subscribe so that you can keep up on the episodes. Thank you guys again so much for watching and for supporting, and I will see you guys in the next episode.